Hello and welcome to Glowing Studios. In this video, we'll learn how to load, save, and reset game settings. So for example, you can see if I pick up some coins and then go out of it, and if I play again, the same amount of coins is there. And if I go into the options and reset, it asks me if I want to reset. If I click no, it goes back. If I click yes, it takes me to the main menu, and then everything is reset to 0. So to start off, we need to go to the content browser, blueprints, right click, and then blueprint class, and click the drop arrow and type save game. And I already have it, so that's the one I made, but you'll want to click this one, save game, and then once that shows up, you'll just want to rename it to BP save game. And then we'll also want another blueprint, just an actor, and then you'll want to name that to saved items. So open up BP save game, player info, and saved items. So the BP save game is the blueprint that will store and save all of the settings. So you can see I want to save the health and the coins, and that's the same thing that we have in here, the health and the coins, and I have them set to the same value, same type, they're an integer, and then same name. So you can even just copy and then paste, and then you'll have it right in there. So in this video, I'm just going to do the health and the coins. So go ahead and add those variables, and then set the coins to 0 and the health to 100. So that's all we need for the BP save game. And we also don't need the player info anymore. The majority of what we're going to do is in the saved items blueprint, which is an actor blueprint. So that means that it has to be in the scene to work. So just drag that in there. I already have it dragged in there. But it's just like the player info, it has to be dragged into every scene that you use in order for everything to work properly. So the saved items, you want to create a custom event, come up here, type custom event, and you just want to type load game and also event begin play. And off of those, you want to get actor of class, player info, and then you want to promote to variable, call it player info, and then off of player info, you want to does save game exist, and for the name slot, you want to create a variable and call it string, and then just call it slot name and set the value to slot 1. If the save game eventually stops working, you might have to change it to like slot 2, and then sometimes it fixes it. And then off of that, you want to get a branch, just plug it into the condition, because we're checking if a save game does exist. If it doesn't, then we want to create a save game. So we're going to create save game object, and that'll be the BP save game, the one that we just created that stores our variables. And then we want to promote to variable, call it BP save game, and then we want async save game to slot. Just plug that into there, and then we want to get the slot name, plug it into there. Make sure the user index is just 0 for all of these, and then very important, it needs to be off of completed, none of these, off of completed, drag it off of there, and then print string create save game. Of course, in this circumstance, it doesn't matter because we're just printing a string, which we're going to delete anyways, but for up here, we'll need to make sure it's off of complete. And then off of true of the branch, you want to get async load game from slot, and you want to get the slot name just from here. And then off of completed, you want to get an is valid, and you want to check the save game, make sure it's valid. And then off of is valid, you want to cast to the BP save game, and that is from over here. And then once you cast to the BP save game, you want to check if it is valid. And if it is valid, you want to check if the player info is valid. And if that is valid, you want to make a player info function. So come over here, add a function. I already have it, so I have it right here, the player info load function. And you can see that I added an input. You just type that in, type BP save game. And then here, you want to type in BP save game, and you just want to do the object reference. So now you have that there, and you just want to drag in from here into the BP save game from the function. And then I have a print string for loaded, so we know that it's loaded. And from the player info load, we want to load in the settings that we have from the save game. So we're getting the coins from the save game that we had saved, and then we're applying it to the player info that we will use and display. Next, we want to do the save game, and you just want to create a custom event and then call that save game. And you want to async load game from slot, and then you want the slot name, and off of completed, you want is valid, using the save game as the input, and then you also want to use this to cast to the BP save game. And this is just the same as this right here, so you can just copy all of this. So once you have that, you just want to drag off of here and check if the player info is valid, and then you want a player info save, we already have the player info load, but you just want to take this and duplicate it and then call it player info save and make sure that it has the same input as player info load, the BP save game set to the BP save game object class. And then out of cast BP save game, the same thing, we want to drag out of here and just plug it into here. I use reroute nodes by double clicking just to make it more organized. And then off of the player info save, we want to async save game to slot. And we're going to use the slot name. Make sure to plug in from cast to BP save game into the save game object. And then off of completed, I'm going to do saved. And for the function player info save, it's just the opposite of loading, because whenever we save, we want to set whatever the BP save game is to the player info, because that's what we use, and we're saving it to the BP so we can use it later. So you just want to set coins from BP save and then get coins from player info, plug that in, and then you want to get the player info health, and from BP save game you want to set the health, and then you just plug that into there. That's all for the saved items. Next, we just want to open up all of these, and you want to make some space between the destroy actor and the play sound, and you want to get actor of class. Not all actors of class, but just get actor of class, and you want to do saved items. And then off a return value, you want to save game, which is a save game event that we created. And then you want to destroy actor. So all you need to do is copy and then just go through all of these, delete, and paste these in. And once you do that for the rest of them, you want to open the level blueprint by coming up here, open level blueprint, and in the event begin play, you want to get actor of class, saved items, and then you want to promote to variable and call it saved items ref. And then you want to load the game so that when you start the level, you load. And I'm just going to copy this, go to content, third person, maps, main menu, save selected. I'm going to come up here to the main menus, level blueprint. And then after this, I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to plug this in as we want to load the game before we do anything else. And while we're in main menu, we want to take the player info and saved items and drag them into the scene because we'll need that for later. And then we'll go back to level 1. And in the content browser, in our UI, we want to open our options, and you just want to right click on the button and duplicate. So now we have a reset, and I'm just going to anchor it to the bottom. You just want to change the text to reset, and then on clicked, you want to create a widget and add to viewport. And the widget that we're going to create, you just want to copy and paste options and call it widget are you sure. And then you just want to rearrange the buttons and call one of them no and rename it to no, and then the other one yes. So just these two buttons, you can just rearrange them. And then I have two separate texts, so I can have them on different lines. And there, are you sure? You want to reset everything. And all of this stuff is set on Z2, and I brought in a blur background set to 3 on the Z order of 0, and then I got a border on the Z order of 1, and I set the brush color to a gray color, and I made draw as rounded box and the rounding type to fixed radius, and I set the corner radius to 70. So now that looks nice, and we can go into options, back to the graph, and the widget you want to create is the are you sure, and back in the are you sure, you want to click on no, go on clicked, and just type in remove from parent, and then on the yes button, you want to go unclicked. In event construct, you want to get actor of class, saved items, and you want to promote to variable, and then you want to duplicate this and change it to player info. Same thing, promote to variable, and just rename it to player info, and this to save items ref. So then back to on clicked yes button, you want to get a sync load game from slot, and you want to get save items ref, and you just want to get the slot name, plug it in here, and on completed, you want to get is valid and use this as the input. Dragging off of here, you want to cast the BP save game, and then as BP save game, you want to reset the save game, and this is a function, so you want to come in here and click plus, and once you go in there, it's the same thing we did before. You want to add, call it save game ref, and then change the object type to BP save game. And then with that dragged in, it's dragged in here, then we want to get an async save game to slot. Make sure you drag in the slot name, and also drag in from the save game into the save game object. And then on completed, open level by name, and you want the main menu. Back in the reset from save game, you just want to set everything to its default value. We're just going to set these values, and these are just the default values because we're resetting it to the defaults. So coins are set to 0 and health is set to 100. And then one more thing I forgot to do, go back to the main menu, come up here to open level blueprint, and we just need to right click and create save game variables. So you just want to make sure there's no problems. So if you play and then get some coins, You go out, you can see the coins are still there. You click tab, options, reset, no. You click yes, you go back, and they're set to 0. So if that's all working for you, you can go back to saved items and click alt and disconnect the saved and the loaded. If you're still having some issues, make sure to go back and watch the tutorial and do exactly what I did. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.